Hello everybody and welcome to this month's edition of BluebeamMeUp. BluebeamMeUp is a series of webinars run by Brixtech and Brighter Graphics over the past few months to increase productivity and maximize your potential usage of Bluebeam Revu. Over the past few months we've looked at Bluebeam Revu and its usage within a wide variety of industries and its applications for estimating, quantity surveying, measurement tools and design review. If you were with us on the November webinar, you would have seen the usage of Bluebeam Revu within a civil site layout environment, which in itself is quite a unique application for the software. We continue that theme in this month's webinar, which is going to be focusing on P&IDs and how you can use Bluebeam Revu within complex industrial processing plants. This might not be a relevant industry for a lot of people, but we're trying to push the boundaries of what the software can do and allow you to see its application in an industry which might not be common to a lot of people. Once again, I'm joined by the leading Bluebeam application engineer in the world, which is my colleague Troy DeGroot. And if you've joined us on previous webinars, you'll be familiar with Troy's expertise whilst using Bluebeam Revu. At this point, I'm going to hand you over to him and he's going to continue with the webinar. It's relatively shorter than normal and we don't want to keep up too much of your time, especially when it's coming up to the holidays. So at this point, I'll hand you over to Troy.
Good afternoon, Bluebeamers. My name is Troy DeGroot with Chapter 2, and I'm excited to partner with the team at Brixtech and Brighter Graphics to deliver world-class Bluebeam training and customization services empowering you to get the most out of your Bluebeam investment. We're having a lot of fun with the growing popularity of these monthly webinars, and great news for you, there's no end in sight. If you have ideas or topics you'd like us to cover in the future, leave us a note in the chat. This month, I'd like to show a few custom tools and workflows I created for a customer performing P&ID inspections at several process plants throughout the UK. Just as a note, be sure to keep an open mind as you watch these webinars each month. Even if the title and description isn't a fit for the work you do, the concepts can possibly be applied, so be inspired. So what exactly is P&ID or PID? It stands for Piping and Instrumentation Diagram. A piping and instrumentation diagram, P&ID or PID, is a detailed diagram in the process industry which shows the piping and process equipment together with the instrumentation and control devices. So let's dive into some example drawings here. Here you can see on my screen I've got an example open that's been marked up. This person has gone out on site. They've marked up drawings. I'm not sure what the yellow and the blue stands for in this particular case. For Tim, we built out a tool set for him. So you can see those over here. And in here, just an example, we can go in and pick our sequence tool and go ahead and just very quickly while you're on site, drop these on the different valves and equipment here. And what it's doing is it's counting these as I place them in sequence. So you can see if I zoom in, now that I quickly placed all those, I can move them and have it clean up a little bit. And all those leaders are attached to that markup so that it's not going to get lost. I can move these around wherever they might need to go to clean that up. So on and so forth. You can move the elbows here if you want also. This one down here. So you can see how quickly we can clean up and mark these in sequence and then enter in the data and different notes that apply to the sequence as we place those. So he would always refer to it as data mining. And so he would go through and place a tag, usually on the equipment as well, and then mark up the drawings just like this and leave comments and things in the markups down in our markups list. So he would put in the equipment type, maybe some dimensions or sizes, and then eventually he would come into the status and set that to confirmed or not confirmed. So that's a real quick overview of that example, going through and just placing in the sequences. Now, as we look at these different workflows every month, I don't pretend to know everything about all facets of the design and construction industry, but it's amazing how much I learned working close with companies like Tim's. So let's quickly create a sequence tool similar to these. I'm going to zoom in here, just an area, go up to my tools, markups, and I'm going to grab an ellipse. Just drag this out, make it nice and big, whatever I want that to look like. Maybe I'll switch this over to be purple. I'll bump this up a little bit. And then I'm going to grab a text tool. So markups, I'm going to use the typewriter. Just drop this in here and type in X just as a placeholder. Maybe I'll put in some extra, a few extra digits in there. So for example, let's go with 5 digits. And then I'm going to select that and center that as best I can. You can use your alignment tools if you want to. If you select all of those, go down to alignment, go with center and middle. See if that helps. Kind of nudged it a little bit. We'll use our arrow key and nudge that down. And then usually for the text, I like to just stretch this out a little bit so that if the number or if that text grows, it doesn't wrap funny when I'm creating this, when I'm placing this tool. So I have that built. I'm going to select all those parts, right click, create a group, and then I'm going to right click and add that to my tool set. So I'm going to drop that into my data mining tool set over here. Right now it's called group. And this is just a symbol now. I can place this. It's just going to place blank X. I'm going to right click on this one and add a sequence. So I'll turn it into a sequence. So define. Maybe I want my P&ID as the prefix. I'm going to start with 1 and go increments of 1. And then this one's important here. I want to make sure that I uncheck this because if I delete a tag, I don't want it to renumber all the tags after that, because whether I'm putting some sort of a sticker or a label of some sort on that valve or piece of equipment, I want to make sure that that number sticks and doesn't fall back if I delete one. So I'm going to leave that unchecked and say OK. And now you'll see when I place that, it says P&ID 1, 2, 3. So that's how you build a sequence tool. Next, let's jump over and take a look at a new drawing here. So we're going to jump into this drawing here. Typical drawing example. And you can see here all the different valves, pipe systems, and there's things that I need to mark up in here. So I'll show you some additional tools that we built and how they work. So we zoomed in. Let's draw some of the pipe that we found in here that we need to add. We're going to come here, hold my shift key so I can draw straight lines. Come across here. And we're going to go down. I have it set up so an arrow comes in on the end of it. Come there. Go here as well. And once I have my pipe systems in there, oops, I need another one here. Now I can start to drop in those valves. So here you can see I have different tool setup, so I can drop in a gate valve. Maybe I want that here. Drop that there. This one I'm going to drop there for a second. And if I use the little blue grip here, I can hold that down and rotate that. So there, I've got that drawn in. Then I might come down here. We need to add in some green. We've got some pipe on the plant that's not in our P&ID. So I'm going to grab that tool again. And we're going to come up from here. Come across and down to here. So I've got that in there. And then I need to come in and draw another valve. Put that in there. We're starting to collect our data in here. So let's place some of these sequences in here. So we've got, in this particular tool set, we've got blue means it's a duplicate. Green means it's on plant, not on P&ID. Or red means it's on plant and P&ID. So we can go and place these. Again, just like we did on the other sheet, putting in as we check these. And then we can always go back and clean these up, move these arrows around after we get back to the office or whatever that might look like. We can start to move those around and clean those up. Again, we can drop a legend on the sheet showing what the different markups mean. He referred to these sequences here as crumb trails. So I thought that was kind of a neat term for P&ID, something I hadn't heard of. So next, let's go over here to this drawing, and we're going to add a piece of equipment. So I'm on site, I'm walking through, and I noticed that I don't have any idea what this equipment is, but let's just say there's another one. I can use my snapshot tool. So I'll go to Edit, Snapshot, and I'm going to grab this piece of equipment here. It'll take a picture of it when it flashes blue, and I'm just going to come up here, right-click, and paste. And that will bring in a markup that looks identical. We just took a picture of it and pasted it. Okay, so now that I made that copy up there, we need to run some pipe similar to this one. So I'm going to come over to my pipeline style, and I'm going to draw a line across here. Again, I like to hold my shift key so it draws a straight line. Double click when I'm done. And if I don't want an arrow on that one, I just select that. Come back over to my properties for the line and get rid of that arrow. Then I can come into some of my tools over here. Maybe I need that in there. You can add these different pieces of equipment. Now, let's say up here, I need to add a back pressure regulator. I can drop that in here in line. I got my symbol there. I can note that however I need to, and I've got it all tracked. We also have tools in here for creating those comments. So we've got drawing notes. I can very easily draw a cloud around this piece of equipment, drop my note in here, and type in whatever information needs replacement. We'll just leave it at that. So I can put those comments in there with the cloud, and I know exactly what needs to happen there due to my notes. Now with this back pressure regulator, if I want to actually document this a little better, I can actually right click on that markup, go down to capture, from file or from camera. If I'm on site, I can take a picture and drop it in there directly. I'm going to go from file, just come out, and I'm going to add an image. So I double clicked on that image and it gives me this little lens which indicates there's an image attached to that. When I click on that lens, it opens up my flipbook and the image that I took on site when I recorded that new back pressure regulator. So you can see the valuable content that we're creating here and that we're documenting on these drawings as we go. So let's look at some of the functionality that we have. So we've drawn some colored lines and some things, very simple but effective markups. But what we've also done is put them on layers. So if I look at my layering system over here, I've got document markups. If I turn those off, it'll hide all of those markups that we had with the legend and the sequences in there. Any drawing amendments, I put those on their own layer, so I can turn those on and off. You can see all those areas where I drew in pipe and valves and things like that. And then drawing notes, that's that cloud over there. I put those all on separate layers when I built those so that I could isolate those things when I'm looking at the data after I get back from the field. Just makes it a lot easier to work with. So now that we've collected some data here, we've shown you these simple tools, let's look at what sort of information we have. So let's look at the markup list. And down here you can see I've got the different pipe. If I sort it by subject, it's going to group all of the similar things together. So all of my duplicate sequence notes are in here, and the value that's in the comments. Gate valves, showing we have 3 of those here, and so on and so forth. You can see all the different pipe in here. Now, we can sort and filter this however we like. If we click on the top of the subject, it's going to sort those by the subject. So all of the on-plant, not P&ID comments are going to be grouped together, and so on. It's going to tell us what page they're on. It's hard to see the green here, but you can see the comments that are in the cloud and those sequences. And then in here, any notes that we might want to add to this piece of equipment. We might want to go in here and double click and start adding in, typing in equipment type. Double click in here, add dimension information. Again, we looked at this. You go into the status, confirmed, not confirmed. We can set those in here. Also, I have spaces in here. If we wanted to isolate different areas, we could do that. So if I go to my spaces panel over here and create a new space, I can draw a box around this area and label that, I'm just going to call it area 1 and say OK. And then over here, call this one area 2, say OK. And now you can see how that is broken out. It's assigning, if I click on the top of the spaces column, it will sort those by space. So area 1, area 2. If we go in here and change some of the status, so if we come in here and confirm, it's actually going to stamp it with my name. So the user that stamped it confirmed and the date and time that I confirmed it. So I can come in here, mark these confirmed, so on and so forth. If I want to change several at a time, which I don't usually recommend because we don't want to accidentally sign off on it when we haven't. Actually, I like to do it one at a time. We can select several of those at the same time, right click and set the status and change them all together. So it's going to put all those in there. And then again, we can sort by status. So we can start to look at what's left. We can also filter the list. If I click on my filter here, come over to the top of the column of the status and say I only want to look at the ones that are blank, then I'll know exactly where I'm at. And I'm going to keep marking these confirmed or not confirmed, and you'll see it disappear as soon as, because I'm only looking at blank ones. And I can go through all these until this list is empty, turn off my filter, and then I should have everything with a status. Next, one of the things that was extremely valuable is to be able to create a summary or a report of our P&ID information. So with that markups list, all of this data is being collected as we do markups. And down here, I can create a summary. So if I click on my summary button, I can do a CSV. I can do a PDF. Let's try that one and show what that looks like. Under columns, we're just going to include whatever information we want to see on here. So the subject, layers, spaces, and all that's good. Sort and filter. If we want to filter out certain markups, maybe we only want to show area 1 in our report, we can filter out by space to only include area 1. So let's do that. I'm going to get rid of these and say area 1. Then I'm going to sort this by status, might as well. And I'm going to say OK. Actually, I'm going to look at the output first. Sorry. Going to a PDF. I'm going to append and hyperlink to the current PDF. I'm going to send it to my own letterhead. And I'm going to click OK here. So it's going to quickly create a report of the data I have down here. You can see, if I zoom in here, all the individual markups and information for each one of those. And then it also gives me a thumbnail. So this isn't just for viewing it. We can actually click on there and it'll bring me to that markup on my drawing. So if I look at my thumbnails over here, you can see my report, all my notes, all nicely laid out and showing all that information. Same thing if I did a CSV. So if I do that, here I can choose whether I want just the markups. I'm going to do that. We're going to say OK. It's going to open up Excel and show me basically a duplicate of my markups list, except now it's in our Excel format. So depending on your workflow, this might be extremely valuable to you in how you digest that data that you're collecting. So with all this data, you can see the increased value of the documents from the facility management standpoint. As a result, Tim is winning work because of the clean and detailed data mining workflow that we've created. In fact, I'm proud to share this fantastic testimonial Tim shared shortly after working with him on digitizing his paper workflows. Tim says, before training with Troy, my workflows were a bit disjointed, and I didn't know what I didn't know about the different tools and features in Bluebeam. Through a discovery process, Troy learned my workflows and goals. He was able to clean the interface of tools I didn't need and bring forward those that are relevant to my business. The day after training, I immediately saw massive time gains. The typical P&ID previously taking 8 to 12 hours is now completed in 2 to 3 hours. So that's Tim Webster of Twimco Ltd. It was a quick and simple one today. Hopefully you learned a few things and that you can apply to your work immediately. If you have any questions regarding training or customization services for your company, don't hesitate to reach out to the Brighter Graphics team. Thanks again for hanging out this afternoon. I'll turn things back over to Darren and Sean to wrap things up.
Okay, thank you, Troy, for another great webinar. Features and functionality shown there are going to greatly improve our workflows. And if that's something any of you would like to take further, reach out and we can discuss bespoke training courses to get you and the teams up to a level where you can take advantage of some of the workflows hosted. You can reach us on email, either send in to contact@brightergraphics.com or even one of the sales guys and Darren@brightergraphics.com. We'll be happy to help and put a plan together for you and the team. For any of you wanting to share our webinars with colleagues, we've started to host lots of tips and tricks on our Brighter Graphics YouTube channel, which is quite new to us. That's a great resource for any of you looking for really quick wins into lots of different features, but also a recording of this webinar will be on our brightergraphics.com main webpage where you can share at your leisure. So finally, thank you for attending our BluebeamMeUp series of webinars, which we're going to continue to run in 2023, monthly on the last Tuesday of the month, starting at 2 o'clock. Our next webinar is on the 24th of January and is estimating with Bluebeam. One of the most popular features of Bluebeam. I'm already really looking forward to that. It's going to be a great one. So I think we'll sign off now for 2022. Have a Merry Christmas and a great New Year from the Brighter Graphics team. Look forward to seeing and speaking to you all in the near future. Thank you.